From the top of Mount Driscoll to deep in the basin, the real Louisiana that's found in small places is slipping away and giving away to a national culture. Old crumbling beauty in every small corner falls into ruin with each wave of time. Let me show you a light, a beacon of sorts, that calls us to take care of what we have lost. In Manchac, you can see time on the march. Interstate 55 rises above Highway 51, and they both parallel what's left of the old Hammond Highway, burned out pilings sprinkled across the pass. Landmark Middendorf's restaurant has a new building, a new one aside the old. Time marches on, but in its wake leaves signs of its passage through past Manchac. Virginia Ricosi cuts bait for the crabbers and trims fish for the visitors. High on her shop wall is a painting of a lighthouse near here.
Well, it doesn't mean as much to people today like it did when I was growing up. The lighthouse was really handy for people. Once a person got lost in the swamp, they would ring that fog bell, and they'd come out on that fog bell. The schooners would come up in there and tie up and load up the staves and go back to New Orleans. Sometimes it would take them a month to get back because of they had to wait until the wind changed to sail back. They had no motors like they have now. And that was the stopping and going place right there.
This is the past Manchac Lighthouse today. It's crumbling and leaning to the northeast. It's one of only a few surviving lighthouses built more than a century ago. Now, of course, it's mostly forgotten by the rest of us. That's part of why it may soon be gone forever. There was a time when Gulf Coast inlets, inland rivers, and many lakes of this part of Louisiana were littered with lighthouses. The one at past Manchac told steamers and schooners where to turn north if they were headed into Lake Maurepas, or south if they were headed toward New Orleans. The pass is sometimes not easy to find. Ben Taylor is a Ponchatoula businessman trying to save the lighthouse.
Now everything's so fast-paced. We have these outboard engines where you can zip. You can end up out of the swamps, out of the lake, back home in no time, but back then it took quite a bit of time. And so this was an important place. It wasn't something you just pass by and glance stuff at. At a later date, there was several steam packets that made a trade between Wadesboro, Port Vincent, Springfield, and points eastward. The city of New Orleans, obviously, through Bayou St. John, all the way to Mobile. This was part of an important trade route.
These are the remains of the keeper's house. There has been a beacon here since 1839, but this tower is not that old. It only dates back to 1857.
A little bit of anxiety, considering next time I try and come out here, there may not be anything left.
Imagine the life of the keeper isolated out here, a two-story house attached to the tower, a shed for storing the fuel that fed the lamp. We don't have to imagine, actually. Louis Barbier can describe it. 102 years old, he was keeper of the flame for 30 years.
It's a whole lot of danger. If you're going in the channel right, you'll get stuck on the bow out there, and you stay out there until some other big boat comes and pull you off. I told him, I said, Pat, there's somebody out there needs help. You see that white flag? He said, oh, you just imagine that. I said, come on, we're going out there. No, he said, we ain't going. I said, I am. I'm going by myself. So I went out there, and this lady, she seen me coming, she pulled off all clothes but the underclothes and waved me, waved to me. And I come out there, she said, my God, she said, you're the only one come see about us. She said, we've been out here 4 days.
What was your daily routine? What would you do every day for the lighthouse?
Well, on Sundays you had to light the light and put it out in the morning, and the fog bell, if it got foggy, climb up there every 3 hours and wind the fog bell, and if it got foggy, you have to stay up there and wind it. And the light, you have to put it out every morning and light it up every night.
Barbier's daughter Violet lives in Iowa now. She fondly remembers growing up on the small peninsula that led out to the lighthouse.
It was a very nice home. We had fireplaces in the living room and upstairs, and I had my playhouse upstairs in one of the domes that went up to the tower, and I liked it there. We did a lot of swimming. We had relatives come down to visit us, and it was nice. I enjoyed it.
It was like the Swiss Family Robinson. You're
Just
all
about.
by yourself.
Yeah, because
there.
it was 7 miles to the nearest highway, and up by Manchac there, and the railroad, you know. And in fact, when I was a kid, there wasn't even a road there yet. It was just a railroad that we had to go on. I would like to see them restore the tower, and you know, so there's a landmark there, you know, of the old lighthouse, because they really did do a lot of good. I mean, there were a lot of fishing and hunting people who traveled through there, and when the weather would get bad or their boats would break down, he would have to save them.
High atop the tower, there is still a mount for the last light. It had been automated since 1941. The Coast Guard decommissioned this sentinel in 1987. No agency really wants responsibility for it anymore. Taylor, Ricosi, Louis Barbier, everyone who can recall the important lighthouse in its glory agree that it sure would be nice if someone could, at the very least, stabilize the tower.
Well, there ain't no lighthouse there now, it's just a tower, that's all.
Yeah.
Big round tower like that.
Oh, I want it where it is. They had talked about different things about moving it, you know, where it'd be easy to restore. I said, well, it needs to be where it was built. It needs to be there. That's the place for it. And I think once they get it restored, maybe they'll light it up again, and I'd be happy.
We're losing a bit of maritime history with each salty wave. At Pass Manchac, you can see the passage of time. A lighthouse, by its nature, is a lonely and brave thing. Ironic still, it's a thing built to be noticed. After more than a century, it seems too few of us are noticing its passing.
The lighthouse now belongs to the state, freed at least from some bureaucracy, so that the people of Manchac can do what you and I know they must.